This has been a phenomenal day at sea. I got to do so many things. Okay, so I learned something that I didn't know before, the art of the theme show tour today, and I wanted to share it with you. On this back wall in the Avengers Academy, there are all of these different personnel file codes. Now, each one of those little circle things corresponds to a number. And if you come inside to this keypad, four, four, one. So one more fun fact for you is that Pixar actually designed the posters that are above Andy's bed, and the Disney Wonder is the only ship with Andy's room that has those posters.
Good evening, troops.
Good evening, Corporal Green.
That was horrible. I need everyone to march in place. Now, you're gonna march on your left, right, left. That was some of the sloppiest marching I have ever seen in my entire life. If we find ourselves in a birthday party and a dangerous object is thrown our way, such as a water balloon, then we need a pop. How you do that? Place your arm out like this. Place your arm to the side. And you say, pow, pow.
Pow, pow.
Pow, pow.
Pow, pow.
Good job. So, if I say water balloon,
Pow, pow.
yeah, and you will pop that water balloon. We have to do a move called the snake in the grass. She will now demonstrate the snake in the grass. Yes, very well. I don't hear your snakes. Andy's coming. Cindy's coming. Bonnie's coming.
I will protect you. Okay, so I just did Toy Story boot camp, and it was so fun. I totally understand why my kids never wanted to leave this place, because that was just silly and goofy in the very best way possible. I mean, they had how many adults on their bellies pretending to be snakes in grass? This was great. And everybody that was here was such good sports about it that it just made it incredibly fun. So thanks, Disney, for letting adults enjoy Oceaneer Club too.
This is the one. 4 corners into the center, making a square. Do it like this. Here we go. And after this, you flip over. Don't touch anything, otherwise you're touching anything else, yeah? Don't do it, don't do it. That's not good. Alright? So then, take the 2 bottom corner, what we call it,
This has been a phenomenal day at sea. I got to do so many things. I started with just reading with my feet in the hot tub because it's a little bit breezy out on deck. Then I did adults only crafts in Crown and Fin. I did Art of the Theme show tour. All of like the normal daytime things like the photo challenge, dinner, an amazing show with Frozen, and then capped it off with a Toy Story boot camp in the Oceaneer Club. It was a stupendous day, so good. But let's go back to dinner and let me tell you what I had and kind of my thoughts on it. So for the appetizer, I had the beefsteak tomatoes and sliced mozzarella. Now I know that a beefsteak tomato isn't really as juicy as some other types of tomato, but it wasn't very flavorful, the tomato itself. The arugula and the balsamic dressing with it was great. They seasoned the mozzarella as well. So it was a good salad. I just wish that the tomatoes were maybe a little bit on the riper side so that they had a bit more flavor. They were just kind of there for color, which was too bad because it's one of my favorite salads. And then I had the center cut beef tenderloin with lobster medallions. Now, I am not a seafood girl. I like to say if it was in the ocean, like if it lived in the ocean, I probably don't like it. But just to keep an open mind, I did try the lobster medallions and they weren't very fishy, but they just weren't for me. I just really don't enjoy seafood. But the tenderloin itself was cooked perfectly. It was seasoned well. It was a really good piece of meat. And then it came with caramelized carrots, which weren't caramelized, but they were roasted, buttered snow peas, and crushed parsley potatoes, which were potatoes and some vegetables. And then for dessert, I got the banana bread pudding with vanilla ice cream and caramel praline sauce. You guys, this was so good. It was a bread pudding, but instead of just like traditional bread, it was banana bread. And so it wasn't super heavy on the banana flavor, but it definitely had it. But it was just a perfect, rich, ooey gooey bread pudding, and it was divine. It was so good. Lucas will tell you about it. They don't want to take his thunder, so it was great. And then the Frozen show was wonderful. It snowed in the theater. It was honestly a magical show. And I know that we use that word a lot because it's part of our tagline, but it really was just a magical evening.
So my day was very different than Lisa's, and that's what makes a cruise kind of so ideal for people who vacation in different ways. We've had time changes over the last 2 days in a row, 1 hour ahead. I ended up just sleeping. Like I woke up ready for breakfast and I was like, no, I'm going back to bed. And I slept probably half the morning away, which was fantastic. And then I got up on deck. I did a few things with Lisa, and then I just got on deck, got some sun, just chill. And so that's how I like the vacation. My life is really busy, and so when I get to just take a breath and exhale, I like to take advantage of that. Triton's. So Triton's for dinner this is probably my favorite dinner of the cruise so far. I'm glad that they kind of brought in a different menu for this. So to start, I had the Gruyere cheese souffle, which is fantastic. Well, let me take that back. It needed a little more of the blue cheese. It said blue cheese on the description. If it had a little more blue cheese, it would have had a little more flavor to it. If they weren't gonna do that because they're trying to cater to the masses, then I wish they had salted it a little bit more. It was just slightly under seasoned. So either more blue cheese or a little more seasoning. I also got the marinated shrimp because that's what I do. I get 2 appies because I can't just pick one. And so putting all the elements of that dish together was perfect. They had the saltiness from the feta cheese. They had kind of the sweetness from the tomato. The shrimp was cooked well. And then they had this kind of Chardonnay cream sauce that kind of just brought it all together. Those are great starters. So if you do like seafood, unlike Lisa, I would highly recommend, if that is on your cruise as an offering, highly recommend that marinated shrimp. And then I had the venison loin. And this was our waiter, Marcelo. He told us that this is one of the most expensive dishes on the menu of the cruise. And this venison was beautiful. It wasn't, I kind of think that maybe this is farmed venison because it didn't really have a whole lot of the wild kind of flavor to it, but it was very good. It was cooked to perfection. It was tender. I was actually surprised how much flavor was in that sauce that came with it. And then it had a parsnip puree, and that kind of brought sweetness to the dish. So when you put those all three elements together, the venison, the puree, and the sauce, it was perfect. Like, it was really a good dish. And then I also got the banana bread pudding, and that was my favorite dessert of the entire cruise so far. Not to, jinx the future. I hope to get really good desserts in the next few days, but that's going to be really hard to beat. I really love that. Frozen was awesome. Frozen, Disney does these shows, like, it's unbelievable the way they interpret these movies. You already know the story, but you're still invested from the beginning to the end. And of course the snow at the end was just the perfect finish to an awesome day on the Disney Wonder.
So I just have one final note about Frozen and about all of the shows so far, and that is the incredibly talented ASL interpreters. They have been doing such a great job of signing. In fact, there were so many times tonight where I found myself watching them just as much as I was watching what was happening on the stage. They put so much expression in, and I was chatting with one of the interpreters after the show, and she was saying that they have the script and they study it for weeks before boarding, and then all day today she was running through that script in her stateroom when she wasn't helping guests with whatever kind of ship activities that they had asked for interpretation for. And so I just want to give a shout out to them because they are absolutely incredible, and what they do is important. Disney does such a good job of making sure that everything that they do is accessible for everyone, and this is just one of those things. They have brought in the best of the best to be able to make sure it's an enjoyable performance for everyone. Well, we no longer know what day it is, but it was our second full day at sea as we get closer to Vancouver, and it is almost 11 o'clock, so we are going to be heading to bed because we are old and boring like that. But it does look like we have a few storms moving in our way, so I'm sure we will be kind of hanging out indoors tomorrow. Hope to bring you along, or at least tell you about the activities that we get to do, or maybe I should say that I will do. We'll see how Lucas feels in terms of whether he wants to just relax or join me for those things. But either way, we will let you know how they are. Have a good night.